Good day, our dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Sphere Rocket Podcast Network, your go to destination and exclusive conversations with top tier real estate professionals. I'm your host, Sweet, and today I hope you are ready to learn and be inspired because we have a special guest with us. He is an amazing broker and realtor of the top producing real estate team called Brook Team at EXP and also the co-founder agent at Fast Track EXP. Please welcome Lou Raven.
Hey, good morning. Hi, sweet. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. I'll give one point of clarification. I'm not the only team leader on Brook Team. David Brook is our team leader. I'm one of the leaders within it. Maybe it's something we could talk about later. We have this great structure where we can run teams within a team, and I've been able to take advantage of that and grow a pretty large organization of my own.
Oh, thank you so much for clarifying that. Yeah, it's so nice to have you here in the podcast, Lou. And yeah, I'm so excited to learn more about you and the business. So yeah, let's go straight ahead on what inspired you to become a real estate broker or realtor.
Yeah, so the plan was actually never to sell real estate. I started investing in real estate about 11 or 12 years ago. I was working a corporate job, which was great until it wasn't. And then I decided that I wanted to pivot and do something different. And I'd always loved real estate. So I called my mentor, who's an investor as well. And he suggested that I get my license and then go hang it with a brokerage. And I'd learn about the market and about the sales process and that type of thing, which would benefit me as I flipped and buy rentals. And I did that. And lo and behold, I ended up selling real estate for the top team in Connecticut and absolutely loved it. I sold 32 homes in my first year. And then I've had the good fortune of building out our mentor program within Brook Team. And that's been a lot of fun.
That's so nice. That's so nice. So how long have you been in the business?
So I've been as an investor for about 11 or 12 years, and then full time for about 5.5 at this point.
Oh, so there's like a difference between like just an investor. So is that the starting point of just for the benefits of our listeners here who doesn't know much as with real estate?
Yeah, definitely. So as a real estate investor, I was buying rental properties. It always made more sense to me than the stock market. So I like to buy rental properties and renovate them, rent them out to tenants, and kind of increase the value of the property. And I was doing that more and more, and having a lot of fun with it. And I realized that I could do that full time. I could start flipping properties like you see on some of those HGTV shows. It's harder than it looks, I'll say that. And yes, that's what I wanted to do. So in 2018, when I left my job, I made the leap to go full time to flip houses and sell and buy more rentals. And I ended up doing that. I ended up doing that and selling real estate. And I fell in love with selling real estate. So I ended up starting a team within a team. And that grew pretty quickly. I have 8 agents that I directly mentor within Brook Team. And then I also started the Agent Fast Track at EXP, which is a larger organization for anybody. It could be solo agents or team leaders. And we have about 65 agents in that. And that's where my true passion is. I really love teaching and training agents and helping people improve their lives.
Love that. Love that. So having like those a wide array of experiences with flipping houses and with real estate, being an investor and so on, what would you say that would be your business superpower?
My business superpower is it's in operations. So I'm not the best salesperson in the world. I am great at building teams and systems and stepping out of the work that I've been doing and getting other people trained and empowered to do that work. So that's helped me a lot with sales agents, helping them become, great salespeople. But then it's also helped me run my 3 businesses because there really is no handbook for running a sales business and a real estate sales team and an investing business, which does flips and rentals and development all at the same time. So I'm fortunate that I kind of have that almost like an engineering type mind where I can kind of like see the process. I hate following the process though. That's the really funny thing. And that's why, having great people around me, having a great team makes all the difference because I could not do this on my own.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, and I just admire your like your passion in training, like you've said, like you want to teach people and also pass on the knowledge that you have. And yeah, and that's one thing that I've learned also as like an effective leader is to like duplicate yourself, or even
Definitely.
create someone who are like better than you, or mentor someone who
Yes.
to be like more from you. And yeah, and also one of the greatest assets of being a leader is also like
Yep.
delegation tasks to leverage your business, of course.
Definitely.
So what are your thoughts with, of course, you have a big team now, basically. So
Yeah.
how do you like delegate tasks and make sure that you still have that touch of your like Lou Raven in
Yeah.
it?
Great question. So I learned this early on. I'm fortunate that my career before real estate was all about management. It was retail management. At one point, I had 30 retail stores in 5 states in the US. I had about 400 employees under me, and I'd been promoted a couple times. So I had to, every time I got promoted, I had to get better at working through people because ultimately the job was to affect change at the store level. But that meant that as a director of operations, I had to lead the district managers who led the store managers, who led the shift managers, who led the store associates to try to get any work done. So there's this massive trickle down effect. And it was extremely hard. And with every time that I got promoted to get up to that role, I was challenged because, when I became an ops director, I was the best district manager, one of the best district managers, or they wouldn't have promoted me. So there's this tendency when you're in a new role to be the super district manager and be in charge of everything because I can do it better than anybody else, right? And now I'll relate that to real estate for a second. I think where a lot of team leaders struggle is they are the best salesperson. And they became a team leader because, well, that seems like the next logical step. That's the evolution. I'm a great salesperson, so now I'm going to start a team. But some people struggle to let go of the work itself, and they can't let their admins take on work that they should be, that they've delegated. And sometimes they have a hard time training sales agents because they became successful doing it one way. And just because they can sell one way, or they have one business strategy, that doesn't mean that it's the only way to have a successful business. And I think leaders struggle when they put people into boxes and say, you have to do it this way, and this is the only way. You end up really limiting the growth of the organization and the creativity of the person. And I think it's challenging. It's a road that you have to go alone, and you have to try and fail to really figure it out. But you need to take time to reflect on the effectiveness of your organization to really have those lessons come through to you. If we don't pause and step back and look at our own leadership and how we're running our teams, then we'll never end up getting better. We'll never improve.
I was like, I was so amazed in that. That was so
Thanks.
goodly, like put out there. And yeah, totally agree with that. With, of course, having that personal touch, you have to also allow some people to like have their creative juices to apply in it as well, because of course we have different kind of approach and everything. And yeah, so how did you, of course, you've been a client of Sphere Rocket for quite a while now
Years.
too. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yes. How long again? How long again?
2.5 or 3 years at this point, I think. Yep.
Wow. So basically since almost since Sphere Rocket started. So one of like the pioneers of clients of Sphere Rocket. So how did you know about Sphere Rocket? How did you like heard of it? And what made you decide to get a virtual assistant? Of course, it's different if you have like an assistant in onshore, like,
Yep.
compared to like offsite. So how did you started with that?
Yeah, of course. So I think I heard about Sphere Rocket just through the EXP channels. I knew that a lot of other agents had hired through them. And I met Justin at some of the conferences that we go to. And I've always been impressed by the model and how Sphere Rocket does things differently. I'd hired virtual assistants before, both on my own through the job boards and through another company that didn't go that well with. But when I looked into Sphere Rocket more and more, I really like the process that you guys have for finding candidates, for us to interview. That you really start with what it is that we need in the role, and you start with the job description, then find the person to match that, rather than say, well, this person's been a TC before, or they've been a, whatever the role might be, and they could be a good fit. It's like, no, you guys really try to find the right person for my admin needs, not an admin. And then the interview process has always been great. It's been smooth. Sometimes we don't find the right person the right time, but that's okay. We do another round of interviews. And being able to, I hate to say it, but being able to replace somebody at no additional cost has been really helpful. I've hired over 1,000 people in my career, and I make the wrong hire still. Like, practice will get you good at hiring, without a doubt. Experience definitely helps, but you still make the wrong decision. And unfortunately, I hired somebody in February of last year through Sphere Rocket who didn't work out, but then we quickly found a replacement who's amazing. And LJ's been with me for over a year now. So if it weren't for that, I think I would be a little bit more fearful to jump into this unknown world of, okay, how do I know my whole team is international at this point, by the way. I have, 3 people that I've hired through Sphere Rocket who are all in the Philippines. And that's amazing. So I used to have a domestic assistant, but the model I'm running now works out even better than what I had before.
Yeah, totally agree with that. It's really like uplifting and reassuring to have like an extra hand with you when like rough times happen. Of course, there's always like sun and rain, of course, sunshine. Like,
Definitely.
it's not always like a straight line towards success,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right.
yeah, and yeah, so you mentioned that you really learned a lot about like hiring and yeah, delegating tasks and all of those things. So, what was the biggest lesson that you have learned when it comes to like hiring? Of course, we also have listeners out there who might be like considering getting agents or virtual assistants
Yeah.
also. So, what would you think is the biggest advice or a tip that you could give them when it comes to like hiring a virtual assistant?
I think a lot of people start by saying, I need to hire somebody, and they start by hiring somebody rather than saying, what do I need in my organization for support? And we need to start with that. We need to start by identifying the need that I, as a business owner, have so that I can then create an effective job description so that I can then hire the right person. Because if you just go out to hire somebody, it's like shooting a bow and arrow blind. Like, you don't know where you're really aiming. And like, you will hit the target and you will get somebody who's going to help you, because having somebody is better than nobody. But if you're really trying to find the right person for the role, you need to start by figuring out what the role is. And I've told a lot of people about this over the years. And it's one of those things that it's always like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, there's this like aha moment. It sounds so obvious, but when you don't know it, so people who are spinning their wheels with hiring admins and being unsuccessful, like, I would encourage you to go back to what your actual needs are and start there. And then you could even just run your list through ChatGPT and have it write you a job description. It's not going to be perfect, but that's a starting point. If you're thinking like, oh my God, I've never written a job description before, well, then don't. Like, go to AI, have it write it, and then tweak it. And you will learn what you need through that process, through writing the job description. You'll get increasingly clear on who you need in that seat to support you.
Yeah, having like knowing the root cause. Yeah, that is actually also a aha moment for me. Like, it's like the first time I heard of that, and it totally makes sense. Of course, you can never solve a problem if you don't know the root cause of it in the first place, right? So, like, there's a saying that you can. It's hard to score if you don't have a goal. So know what,
Yes.
right? So know first what needs to be solved, and then you can reverse engineer from that.
I
And
love that. And I'll take that a step further. Like you said, it's hard to score if you don't have a goal. I'll take that a step further and say you need to understand what game you're playing to have the right equipment. If you're playing hockey, you need very different equipment than if you're playing soccer. So, that's where we need to really start with what is what do I actually need? What's the problem I'm actually trying to solve by hiring somebody? And then specifically within that problem you're trying to solve, what work needs to get done, that becomes your job description. And then from there, you can figure out the core competencies that you need in somebody. And when you have that clarity, interviewing becomes so much easier.
love that, love that. Totally agree with that. And yeah, so now with all of your experiences with having virtual assistant, Lou, What can you say is like the biggest impact of it, and especially specifically to your business, since you had that compared to before when you had no one yet or just had few assistants with you?
Yeah, I mean it's been night and day. So my team, I mean, it's really hard to like put this into words. My team is everything. And it's not just the time that they save me or free up, but we have such an amazing culture and an amazing group here that is constantly improving upon things that I'll give you an example. Like we were running Asana as a task management software for a while, and I didn't realize that there were problems with it or problems with how we're using it. And Joan, one of my assistants, looked at kind of the landscape of what's out there and said, "Hey, there's this software called ClickUp that I think we should look at." And I was resistant for a while, but Joan has a degree in computer science. Joan has a skill set that I don't have. And so I trusted her to properly vet it and give me some examples of, how and why, like what's the use case. And we made that transition a couple months ago, and it has been like night and day. And so that's a change that came from my employees, from my team, identifying a problem and then being proactive about solving it. So when I say that my team is everything, I truly mean it. They're everything. They're more than just people who answer my emails and my text messages and all that stuff. Like they are building the business with me, and they're pushing it forward in ways that I would never imagine. Give you one more example. Kath, who does my marketing, she hired her as a video editor. Now she became my marketing coordinator, so she's evolved quite a bit in her role. The more that we work on my social media and figuring out what it is we want to do and what to say, the more I'm like kind of giving up the creative control. I'm not creative at all, as you could probably guess. So the more I give up creative control, the better and better the product ends up being. So just last week, we were looking at what are we going to really try to teach in the coming quarters. And I want to teach more about leadership. And she's like, are you open to doing more of a story format? I said, I don't know what that means, but sure, like throw something by me. And she had an amazing proposal she put together. So I'm really excited about the direction we're going, because you're not the best at everything. There's just no way. And so if I can hire people who are better in areas that I struggle or that I don't have the skill set, then at the end of the day, I mean, it's inevitable that we're going to have a better product when I can empower them to give me feedback and say, maybe you're not looking at it, let's look at it from a different angle.
That is so heartwarming to hear. Like,
Thanks.
really, of course, it takes two to tango, of course, to like create a healthy environment and healthy working relationship, of course. So
Yep.
I can imagine how like the dynamics of you guys really like helping each other to grow and also expand even business wise,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and also it takes a lot, of course, to like admit something that, oh, I can't do that. So you are the expert on that, and I trust you. Like it takes
Yeah.
a lot to like trust someone with, but you also like put your trust in them, and then yeah, and it's so nice to hear that it's working out really well. And yeah, that's so great. And yeah, so last few questions, Lou. Um, what can you say is your drives you beyond financial success?
Yeah, more and more I'm realizing that it's not about me, it's about the success of others. This hit me about 2.5 years ago. I was spitballing with somebody, and um, in this, while we were talking, I said something to the effect of, I think money in the right hands can do more good in the world, and I'm good at helping other people make money. And she's like, write that down. That's your life's purpose. So I've since boiled it down into my life's purpose is to make good people wealthy. And I have a sign that says that, that's on the back of my monitor. Right when I walk in my door, I see that front and center. And subconsciously or consciously, whether I see it every time or not, that frames my intention for the day. And I'm not perfect, but the more that I can work with that in mind, the more and more that comes to me. And I'm very fortunate. I've had insane success in the last 5 years. I built 3 successful 6-figure businesses in 5 years. Well, really in 3 years. Then I ran them successfully for another 2, right? And that's not all me. And I think a lot of it is by paying it forward to other people. It keeps coming back to me. And I say that because my mentor, when I went full time in real estate, he helped me selflessly so much. And I would always say, Bob, how can I ever repay you? How can I ever repay you? He said, just keep paying it forward, keep paying it forward. And so I did. And then now, I mean, I never would have dreamt of where I am now compared to where I started a few years ago. So I think that's the most important thing, is really like having the right intention for business. And for me, it's making other people successful. And then that always just comes back around and fuels my success.
Yeah, love that. Love that. That is so, so inspiring. And yeah, totally agree. Sometimes when you are have greater purpose, it's just then like making yourself success, but also making others successful, like helping them, like helping everyone to win, like creating a win-win situation for everyone. That is, I think that is like totally great environment that we have. And yeah, so so nice to learn about to learn from you, Lou, today. And yeah, so before we proceed to our next segment, how can our listeners reach out to you, or what's the best ways for you to contact, or for them to contact you?
Yeah, you can find me on social channels. I'm just lou.raven on Instagram. My phone number is everywhere too. You can call or text anytime. Going to theagentfasttrack.com, you'll find email address and phone number there. And then I don't know if you could drop it in the comments as well, but you guys have that from the forum. But yeah, I mean, you can call or text me anytime. I mean, I'm always happy to help other agents and, kind of help people with their next steps in figuring it out, because I've just gotten so much help over the years that, I mean, it would be selfish to keep all this to myself. So I don't know.
Thank you so much, Lou. And yeah, so before we proceed to our next segment, let's have a quick commercial.
All right.
Overwhelmed with work? Well, meet your new partner from Sphere Rocket VA. In just a click, get matched with a virtual assistant who handles all the tedious tasks. No in-person hiring, no extra office gear, just easy online help from our recruitment team. It's like having an extra pair of hands minus the hassle. So ready to relax and see your work done just like magic? Choose Sphere Rocket VA and visit us at www.sphererocketva.com.
Okay, and we're back still here with Lou, and it's time for our lightning round. So, Lou, lightning round are just quick and fun questions. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I might have a hard time with quick though. I like to talk. So
All right, no, not a problem. Okay, so let's start. What is your favorite business book?
I should have known that would be coming. It changes all the time. Lately, I'm loving this book called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. It's amazing because it teaches a framework for thinking. And he basically says that we've all made dumb mistakes in business. And oftentimes, if we stopped and thought more before making a decision, we would avoid the mistakes entirely. So he advocates something called thinking time, where you spend an hour twice per week just sitting and thinking about whatever problem. He gives a whole format and tons of questions and examples on what to think about. But yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Okay, and next question is, who is your favorite influencer or coach?
I have to say Gogo Bethke, because her growth is phenomenal, and the way that she's built multiple businesses is so inspiring. And I've had the good fortune recently to get to know her a little bit personally, and get to interview her and hear a little bit more of her story and how she built it. And it's amazing. And just her vision is so big that it's almost daunting to me from the outside to look at, but it's so inspiring to see how much you can do and how far you can go. And I'm amazed by how genuine she is too. We had something crazy happen. I recorded an interview and it got deleted and all this stuff, and I was mortified, absolutely mortified. And I'm like messaging her like, I'm so sorry, like, if I can re-record it or whatever I can do. She's like, don't worry about it. God has a plan. It'll all work out. I'm like, what? Like, just to be like so genuinely like nice and kind when, I mean, this woman makes like 2.7 million a year, and I just wasted her time entirely by this interview not saving. So yeah, Gogo's awesome.
Oh, that's lovely. Were you able to like re-record with her?
No, we tried to save the video, and long story short, we got some of the audio, but it was garbled. And so recording a small video for her to kind of help with something that she's doing in one of her businesses, but just to try to pay it back in some way. But man, I'll tell you what, that was incredibly humbling. And it's not for lack of, I mean, we tried the system ahead of time. We checked everything we could. And it was just this total freak accident. But yeah, I felt awful, but she handled it with grace. So.
Oh, that is so. I hope you get a chance again to have like a recording. And Yeah, so moving on from that, what is your favorite lead generation method?
Handing it off to somebody else to do for me. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, no.
And
So I'll give a little more specificity behind that. Coming up with the plan to, the drip campaign that we can put into place, and having other people do some of the outreach to warm things up to the point where I can have a phone call with somebody and they're ready to talk to me. And I have a little bit of background, a little bit of history on them. And what's really fun is that the team ends up becoming really involved in the growth of the business when they're a part of the lead generation process too. It becomes a lot less transactional, especially with what I do, which is like recruiting and training agents. They end up really caring about the agents that we're bringing on and how we're going to serve them on a different level when they've been involved from infancy in getting to, kind of help form the relationship.
love that, love that. Very well said. And yeah, biggest goal for 2024.
I'm going to end 2024 with 200 agents in my group. I have 63 right now. And so that means I need to actually hire about 180 to account for turnover. So to get there, my big goal is to really pull together everything that I have from a leadership standpoint that I've been developing for 15 years, including at my previous company, and putting that together in a even more simple package than what I have now to deliver to leaders. Because ultimately, my strength is developing other leaders. And the more I can do of that, the more I can duplicate myself, I believe the farther my business can grow. And I also think the more we can do, the more good we could do in the world. Because like I said, the mission is to make good people wealthy. So if I can train more leaders that have a similar mindset to that, I really think that our reach is infinite.
Love that, love that. Yeah, and lastly, this is a funny one. Best Amazon purchase.
I mean, I'm looking around my house and I think everything here is from Amazon. Uh,
What is your favorite?
we just got this ball pit for my son. I have a 1-year-old son. We just got this little ball pit that's full with like and he's just absolutely loves that thing, and it's so fun just to get in there with him and like roll around and like throw the balls at him and stuff like that. So I'd say right now that's my favorite purchase.
Love that. So, so fun. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Lou, for
Of
being
course, thank
here in
you,
the
sweet.
podcast. Really learned a lot about you and so, so inspired about your story. And yeah, if you want to like give a shout out or give like thanks to anyone, I'm giving you the floor.
Yeah, of course. Huge thanks to my wife Allison, who gave me the freedom to leave my job. Had a very successful job, and leaving it was very scary. It was a couple months before we got married, actually, and she said, "I don't care if you don't make a single dollar in real estate for a year. Just leave. Just be happy, and have have a job that you really love." And I could not do it without her. I'll just say that. There's so much I could say, but just to summarize it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is so, so heartwarming.
Thanks.
A lot of heartwarming. I think this is one of the like heartwarming and very, very inspiring episode. And thank you so much, Luke, for sharing your good energy and
Thanks for
way to
inviting me.
start Monday.
Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna have a great week. I'm feeling good, and I hope that something hits somebody and can help them out. And if there's anything I could do to help, just like I said, DM me on Instagram, Lou.Raven, or just Google me. My phone number's everywhere. So happy to talk.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much, Raven. Lou, sorry. Thank you so much. And there we have it, friends. Hope you learned from this episode. Don't forget to leave a comment and hit that subscribe button so you will never miss an episode. And yeah, again, my name is Sweet. And until next time, stay inspired and keep building those spheres of success.